Hi everyone, my name is Navin Yanamala from Educative Basar.
Let's get into the last task where to create an API, client, model, and the server, the chain.proto, gRPC, using gRPC. Let's get into the question. Basic API development and deployment. Our task is to develop an API that can fetch and display the status of all configured blockchains, implement CRUD operations for blockchain list, and to add new blockchains or update existing blockchain in database using any database or preferably MongoDB. Implement status endpoint to give required info of all blockchains. These we have to build with the respective RPC endpoints we have to use, and the result should be example results. The success true and should be in the JSON format, and we have used the blockchain list, these three: Omniflix devnet, Omniflix testnet, Omniflix mainnet. These are the RPC API links. There we get the height, status. Let's get into the code to understand better. Here we use the preferable MongoDB database for storing. This is the MongoDB schema. Why we use MongoDB? MongoDB is a widely used open source NoSQL database management system that provides flexible and scalable storing. It handles large amount of unstructured data. So that's why we use preferred MongoDB. And the blockchain schema for storing the name, chain ID, API URL, the blockchain list we will store in the MongoDB. And we also main the part is gRPC. The gRPC we use it for the communication between client and server. The gRPC stands for remote procedure call, is an open source remote procedure call framework. It is designed to enable efficient and scalable communication between distributed systems. gRPC uses a protocol called protocol buffer for serializing structured data, and it supports multiple programming languages. The gRPC uses proto buffer where the communication is serialized, like how it has to go and how it has to come, what the format and the order. The main communication between two client and server is the chain.proto, where we define the data how should be gone. The first should be name, child ID, API URL, RPC. In this order only we have to give the data to the server to store in the database. So let's line by line understand the what chain.proto is. The syntax is used in the proto file is proto3, and the chain we have to write service. gRPC service is named as chain service, where we can include 5 RPC methods. We can call from the client and server. RPC methods are get status, get chain, create chain, update chain, delete. The get chain takes the empty parameter and returns status list. Get status also empty parameter, and create chain is chain format. We will explain forwardly what is the chains and update these all. Here let's get message chains ID. Here we specify the field string name, what should it contains. To update any chain we need only one ID to fetch it. And the message chain, the chain means where we have storing the data, the name, chain ID, API URL. So the create chain takes this all and returns this all what we have stored in the database. And the chain list, it's used for the repeated indicate that it can contain one or more instances of chain. So repeated chains, these chains will be repeated and become chain list to fetch from the database and to given to the client. So this is how we define the message status. For the status also we will write these 3 fields and the same repeated for fetching all the database. The empty parameter will be empty because we pass nothing to it. Let's get into the client. Here we will install all the dependencies, and the express setup is used to set up the application and port number and enables passing of JSON, and the gRPC also we install. And these options for loading the chain proto. Here we loaded a proto path, and the proto loader is used to load the chain proto, and it will sync with the client, and by the proto path we make a chain service, the app to establish the application from the express. And here we create a gRPC client for the chain service and connects it to a gRPC server running on the local host 50051. Then the gRPC methods integrating with the express routes. gRPC methods, these are the gRPC methods are integrating with the express routes, where we have written the RPC methods, get status, the client get status, same, no parameter, and the callback function we have called client.getStatus. The client is created using the new chain service, where we have defined in the proto file, and here we call it by the local server and through the chain.proto. Here also in the server file, the gRPC request, or we also install the same dependencies, required dependencies mongoose, and in the server file we also connect with the database. Then the server we have created, same in the load as we created in the client, we have to make the server file also using the chain service, load package definition by the chain.proto, and the get service. In the client we have called the get status. Then in the server where we have the get status will call, and it will fetch the data from the block MongoDB, and it will load all the data and maps and takes the block of RPC URL where we have data, the RPC URL, and its load, and if it found, then it will return the data as a block name, and status will be active, and the latest block height, what will be the its height, and it will be responded to the client. Like this all the functions has been get chain and the create chain and the update, this all get API, create chain, this all the request methods has been running. Let's do this practically. Node server. We fetch the data by getting status. Here in the status we get the block name Omniflix DevNet, status is active, and the height is 438513. And if we refresh it, it's changing, because in the client we have taken an API URL. There the get status is get latest block height is fetching the API URL using Axios and getting the data, response data and result from the sync left latest block height. It's written and storing to the latest block height. So every time we fetch it, it will changes. And the chains we have stored the chain name, chain ID, API URL, and this. If you want to create, we created new one. If we again fetch for the status, if any URL is not found in this, it will stay result as an inactive, and we can also delete the not found URL also. Yeah, it's been deleted in the database also. When we create, it will reflect in the database. Yeah, the false, omniflix false. After deleting, it will remove from the database. Thank you.